Turn it around first. Look that way. Done? Mm-hmm. Okay. Shh. Torah Or, Mikate, page Membeis, bottom of the first column. Okay, last thing out there, well, we started this next days, but we'll start it again. Anyway, the Alter Rebbe is explaining that you have Ner Mitzvah, you have Torah Or, because the whole Inyan is Milmata L'mayla, Milmayla L'mata, from lower higher, higher to lower. So he says that's the whole thing when a person meditates, that the whole world is really in order to be elevated to Kedusha. He says that's why a mitzvah is called Ner, because a Ner, a candle goes from lower to higher, the flame goes up. Torah is called Or, because Torah, you bring down godliness into yourself. So that's elevating the world first, then you have the revelation of godliness, and that's what a person needs to meditate on, to know that all the pleasures of this world are basically nothing, and the only thing that really matters is Elokus. So he says like this, these few lines we learned already. We need to understand the concept of letters. The 5 formations of the mouth, like it says, the letters Aleph Ches Hey Ayin from the throat, Bump is from the lips, Dalet Tes, Lanunu Tes come from the tongue. I mean, there are various different 5 formations. So he says, the 5 formations are not similar to a musical instrument. It also produces sounds. But Shemetzis Hakel, Manchenken Eises Ein a Boys, Machmas Tenuas Klei Mifta. In other words, like this. Instruments, you have, let's say a violin, right? So you have a violin through the various different strings, and the way you move them and touch them and whatever, that's what produces the music. So it's not something automatically comes. You don't have a harp and automatically you blow on it, it becomes music. Letters, though, that come from the 5 formations of the mouth, so to speak, those come automatically. You don't have to say, okay, I'm going to say an Aleph, I have to go do throat job and then and bass from the lip job or something. It happens automatically. The letters come out, it's no movement of the person intentionally. Like to move the tongue when you speak the letters Dalet Tes Lamed Nun Tov, or the lips when you say Bump, or Alder Abba, on the contrary. The formations really limit the letters. Unlike by instruments, the strings make the music. Here, the formations actually limit the letters. Why? Because in other words, on the contrary, these 5 formation places, the lips, the throat, the tongue, whatever, limits the letters to sound only a certain way. But the letters really themselves are above those 5 formations. The nefesh the letters of the person, the formation of letters, come from the neshama itself. He explains in a second.
And it comes automatic.
What? It comes automatic. Eisis mitzad atzmam, the letters themselves, mushreshes b'nefesh atzma, are sourced, originate in the nefesh itself. There's an expression in Chassidus, hanefesh mleya eisius. The nefesh is full of letters. What does that mean? The power of limitation comes from the nefesh itself. What are letters? Letters themselves don't mean anything. Well, they do in Torah, but generally speaking, you have an aleph. What does that mean? What does a beis mean? Yet when you put the letters into a certain formation, like take the 2 aleph beis, you put them together, that means father, av. You put it the other way, beis aleph, it means bo, come. So the letters themselves don't mean anything. It's the way the letters are formed in the formation of the letters in certain words. Right? So that comes from the nefesh itself.
But we have different language.
Correct. It's all, any formation of language comes from those 5 things, by the way.
So this is connected to the form and the matter Rebbe talked about before.
Yes. So he says now like this. "Va'nefesh meitzia eis mehelem ala gilui." The nefesh takes out this, like we said, the nefesh is full of letters. But within the nefesh, they're concealed. Now when the nefesh talks, meaning the nefesh talks through the person's mouth, so they reveal those letters. But it's in stages. Mitchila be'esis machshava. First, the nefesh reveals those letters to thought. I mean, even though a lot of people seemingly talk without thinking, but I mean, they don't make sense. But you can't express words without thinking to say that word first. So first, the nefesh reveals the letters to thought, which is a concealed level of revelation, and then it comes into speech, meaning as follows. Thought is only revealed to me. Like again, if you have an intellectual concept or emotion, okay, and you think, let's say you love somebody, okay, but you're working, so you're not thinking about the person at that time. So it doesn't mean you don't have the love. The love is just not revealed. Or you know intellectual concept, but you're doing something else. So you're not thinking about that intellectual concept. Doesn't mean you don't have it. You have it, but it's not revealed even to yourself at the present. When you think about them, or think about it, the intellectual concept, so then what you're actually doing is you're revealing it to yourself. The emotional thing, the love, you start thinking about the person you love, so then you're revealing that level of love to yourself. It's still concealed from other people. So it is a partial revelation to the person, but it's not a real revelation. Speech is out in the open. Everybody can hear it. You can tape it, you can record it, you can do whatever. And that, what?
When Hashem breathed life into Adam, or these combinations of words breathed into him, or how did that language at that time, how did it come about? Did they know how to speak?
First of all, they know how to speak. They spoke Hebrew, Lashon Kodesh, not modern day Hebrew. They spoke Torah Hebrew. Hashem created the world with Torah Hebrew. Okay? Adam obviously was given, but it means like this. Hashem didn't speak when he blew the neshama into Adam. Hashem spoke when he created everything in the world. Hashem said it and it became. Hashem said and it became. Correct? Even when Hashem said, let us make man, it was also words. But that wasn't the neshama. Then the pasuk says Hashem blew into the neshama. It blew into Adam and neshama. Right? He blew into his nostrils a neshama of life. Now what language do you blow in? Talking has to be in a certain language. Correct? Now, each letter by itself is really nothing. If I tell you the letter Aleph, you don't know what I'm talking about. I have to have a combination of letters to make a word. Now, when Hashem said, let there be light, so Hashem said, Yehi Or. That means the concept of light, speech, again, like we learned many times. Speech is, all speech is a revelation of something concealed. Speech is a revelation of thought. That means, when Hashem said, let there be light, okay, God said he didn't have a mouth, all of a sudden he spoke. Hashem doesn't have a mouth. It means Hashem had the power to create light. And then he created light. God revealed speech, revelation. He revealed the power to create light, and light became created. Now, light is formed from the letters Aleph, Vav, Resh. Rakia, heaven, is formed by the letters Resh, Kuf, Yud, Aleph. Shemesh is Shin, Mem, Shin. That means those letters, as the Alter Rebbe is explaining here, the letters limit the power of the neshama, so to speak, to come into a certain manifestation, whether it's intellectual, emotional. In other words, when Hashem said Aleph, Vav, Resh, the power of Hashem became limited in the letters Aleph, Vav, Resh, and therefore limited light became created. Everything in 10 utterances that Hashem created the whole world with. Now, when it comes to the neshama, it doesn't say Hashem said let there be a neshama. Right? Because that would limit the neshama like everything else in creation. That seemingly is a separate entity. Hashem blew, and again, what language do you blow in? It's languageless. Because blowing is above both. By the way, speech also, hot air comes out from the lungs and the heart and everything, right? But blowing is above that limitation of speech. When you blow, you feel your whole innards are coming out. So the pasuk says Hashem blew into Adam a neshama of life. That means the neshama is above letters, above any limitation that everything else in creation is.
But there are letters that spell out neshama, so it has some manifestation that way.
Yeah, but it doesn't say in Torah Yehi neshama.
Understand?
It doesn't say Yomer Elokim Yehi neshama. Yeah, bottom line is after Hashem blew His essence into Adam Rishon, there has to be a name for it. But Hashem didn't reveal the neshama into Adam by speaking. What?
So is the neshama a part of an eternal essence that existed, always will exist?
That's what we say. It's Chelek Elokam Mimal. It's a part of God. It wasn't created. Neshamas are an emanation of godliness. It's a part of Hashem. Now, when the neshama comes into the body, where now the neshama is becoming limited, my neshama in my body, your neshama in your body, his neshama in his body, so then it goes through a limitation process. That's why we say in davening every morning, earlier in the morning, Elokai neshama shenasata bi. Okay, we say 4 levels. Tahirahi, ata baratza, ata yitzarta, ata nefachta bi. Okay, so Chassidus explains, that's the 4 worlds. The neshama that you Hashem, nameless, you, the essence of Hashem, put into me, originated, tahirahi, pure, which is the level of Atzilus, ata baratza, bria, ata yitzarta, yitzira, ata nefachta bi is when the neshama is blown into the person's body. Then the neshama goes through stages. Then the neshama becomes limited. For that matter, it could even be that the neshama could sin. Nefesh kisechta. In the beginning of Vayikra, Torah speaks if a person sins. Nefesh kisechta. Now, that refers to the limited level of the neshama that goes through the world stages. So by the time the neshama comes down into the person, it's at a much more limited, lower level than it is. Now, even down here, when the neshama sins, that's only the external levels of the neshama that became limited in the body. That level is shayach to disconnect from Hashem. The essence of the neshama, that can never sin. That is an essential part of Hashem. Okay, that's why on Yom Kippur, when that level, the Yechida, the essence, the Pintali, the Etzem, and the Nekudat HaYadus, whatever you want to call it, is revealed, there's no concept of sin. It's Hashem and the Jew. Which, by the way, is the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh, Chanukah, Purim, or whatever. We discussed last night the difference between Chanukah and Purim with that aspect. But Chanukah, Mesiras Nefesh, to the season of Chanukah, yeah? The Mesiras Nefesh of Chanukah comes from a deeper level than the action of the soul, the emotions of the soul, the intellect of the soul. That could all become blemished. Willpower of the soul could become blemished. The essence of the Jew can never become blemished. Where does Mesiras Nefesh come from? Mesiras Nefesh is not rational. It's not logical. Mesiras Nefesh means, like the previous Rabbi said, it can't be any different. It's not the pshat. Mesiras Nefesh means I understand this is the way it needs to be. then it's not Mesiras Nefesh, because then it's intellectual. It's not essential, it's intellect. If my mind would understand differently, it'd be different. Mesiras Nefesh come from a level that you tell a Jew bow down to an idol, and the Jew doesn't care, and he's not even a religious Jew, he doesn't know anything, he doesn't understand anything about God. But he has this essence of the neshama that all of a sudden wakes up. He realizes it can't be any other way. That doesn't come from intellect, that comes from the essence. And that's why Chanukah is the number 8 candles, 8 is supernatural, the essence, all that stuff. And that's where the neshama comes down. But but coming back here, the letters that the letters that the neshama has originates not in the 5 formations of the mouth. It originates in the essence of Hashem. If anything, the 5 formations, whether it's the throat and the tongue and the lips or whatever it is, in fact, that, to certain respects, limits the letters to come down in a certain way. Why, when something really bothers a person, they cry? I don't mean crocodile tears, fake tears, because you want to get something. Then when a person really cries, why do they cry? Because they can't articulate it. Because it's coming from a deeper level within the person that cannot be limited in words. What?
The same thing with happiness, very happy.
Yeah.
So it means that non-verbal communication is at a much higher level than the verbal communication?
Mm-hmm. Shofar. What brings out more of an affection, saying I love you or giving somebody a hug? Now what language do you hug in? Hugging is not a limited revelation of the soul. What language does somebody kiss in? I mean, it's above language. Because on the contrary, language would limit it. It wouldn't be the same. Okay.
Oh, wow.
We'll come to